Commission meeting to order. Roll call, please, Terry.
Mayor Kodowski,
Here.
Jim Allen,
Present.
Allison Williams,
She's
Tim
here.
Polkowski,
Here.
Mike Skiffington,
Here.
Gary Paul,
Here.
and Corey Campbell's excused.
Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remember our men and women throughout the world in uniform. I have no changes to the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second that.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 5, action on the minutes from the regular meeting of June 2nd, 2020.
Move to approve.
Second that also.
Motion and a second to approve those minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 6, comments from the public must be limited to items not on the agenda. Must be limited to items not on the agenda. Does anybody have anything to say about items not on the agenda? Okay, moving on. Number 7, action items. 7A, action regarding a requested two-lot certified survey map for parcel VA-460-P-113 on Element Way. Aaron.
All right, the requested certified survey map is for proposed Building 3 of the Element Apartment buildings on Element Way. So this will split off, it'll create 2 new lots, one of which is for, again, Building 3, the remainder of which would be future Buildings 4 and 5. There are a couple items, or all parcels that remain zoned Village Center with the PUD overlay. Couple items, conditions of approval, technical issues. Removing the word element as indicated on sheet 1 of the CSM, changing William Charles Court to Element Way as indicated on sheets 1 and 2 of the CSM, correcting the spelling of Kirschling to Kirschling as indicated on sheets 3, 4, and 5 of the CSM, and approval by the Brown County Planning Commission. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have regarding the certified survey map.
They still have the right to build number 3, like you said, on the lot number 3, but then are they moving lot, I see lot 3 again with lot 4, that'll all be lot 4 now?
Correct.
That's where you're going at?
Lot 4 is for future development.
Okay. All right, there's no other questions, I'll move to approve the CSM as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the certified survey map to parcel VA-460-P-113 with the recommended conditions. Right, Gary?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, with conditions.
Mike? With condition, okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 7B, action on requested resubmitted site plan review for extendable screening system at 841 Armed Forces Drive, parcel VA-42. Aaron.
All right. The requested screen wall came before Site Plan Review Committee and Plan Commission, I believe it was 2 months ago or a month ago, lose track of time recently, as a independent steel wall that was also used as a videography station. It's to protect the practices that are closed to the public on Hinkle Field for the Packers from viewing from the Resch Expo second floor patio area. At site plan and at plan commission, that wall was recommended for denial to village board. At that point, the Packers chose to withdraw the application for the wall and evaluate alternatives. Since that time, they have taken a look at it, heard the discussion that occurred at Site Plan Review Committee and Village Board, or at Plan Commission. And what's proposing now is a it's a screen wall that can raise and lower depending upon when practices, our closed practices are occurring at Clark Hinkle Field. The posts that will hold the screen wall are about 30 feet apart. Total height will be 33 feet. The screen wall itself is opaque, so no one from the second floor of the Rush Expo could see the practices going on. As I mentioned, it will be lowered when practices are not occurring. Site Plan Review Committee did recommend approval of the screen wall as presented, with the condition that the screen be lowered when closed practices are not occurring. As you note on the image on the screen, there was a slight modification to the proposal. As you can see, here's Hudson Center. Here's the screen wall. It was initially to go to the scoreboard. Based upon some initial or some secondary reviews of the area and of the patio area, the sight lines are such that they do have to extend that screen wall past the scoreboard about 30 feet here as well. So as I mentioned, Site Plan Review Committee did recommend approval of the screen wall.
With the extension.
With the extension, correct.
Aaron, there's a picture there of, and maybe you don't know, of the one in Pittsburgh.
Correct.
How far apart are those steel beams? Do you have any idea?
That I don't know.
Okay.
Don't know that's the scale.
They look
necessarily.
closer than 30 feet, but maybe not. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, it was more for the materials.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
At the site plan, where it was denied, we suggested this, and I guess they ran with it, finding out that it is possible. At the site plan, we did approve it. I don't like the idea of blocking a $100 million building at times, but it's only a temporary purge. Now, I want to make sure that, and we forgot about this, that they can use them as needed, and they are taken down when they are done using them.
Correct,
So
that's
that
a
it don't
condition.
stay up for periods of days at length of time. Other than that, that's the only addition I have to it. So if everybody's fine with it, again, I'll move to approve as specified with the conditions.
Second.
Wait,
Okay,
no advertising, no nothing on them.
No, if for advertising, it require sign permit and review and everything else. Just black,
okay, we have a motion. and
or
a
green, I guess.
Motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Which,
Any color, Aaron? Did they talk about that?
You understand it would be either a dark package green or.
Okay,
okay? Everybody understands the motion that we approve the submitted site plan with staff conditions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 7C, action regarding conditional use permit for red Demix concrete at 2885 Allied Street, parcel VA-184-A. Aaron.
Oops, pull it up here. There we go. The requested conditional use permit is to allow for the replacement of the old batch plant at Ready Mix Concrete on Allied Street with a new, more efficient, cleaner batch plant. You can see on the screen the overhead view, the kind of dark orange or brown. That is the existing plant. The light yellow right here, that is the new batch plant. The old batch plant will be decommissioned and removed once the new one is up and running. At site plan, we had pretty extensive discussion about what proposed improvements to the site, including the addition of arborvitae along that the concrete wall. The routing of trucks will come in off of Allied, head north through the yard, and then actually exit the yard onto Circle Drive. There was a request for a conditional use permit for the site back in 2004. It ultimately was tabled due to concerns about existing dust that was occurring, I guess, rather extensively in the area. There were a number of complaints about it back then. Since that time, Ready Mix has put in quite a few improvements to the property. In the last 10 years, as far back as we can go anyway, there have been no dust-related complaints. So I don't see a problem with the new batch plant request for the conditional use permit. The new batch plant will actually provide for additional dust controls and noise controls. In terms of recommended conditions of approval, we have conformance with the site plan and any conditions of approval from site plan review committee, obtaining a permit from the airport for airport zone C height greater than 50 feet, continuing to maintain controls to minimize dust and noise from leaving the site, and hours of operation to be between 6 a.m. and 5 p.m. based upon their typical operational day. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, representatives of Ready Mix are also in the audience if you have questions for them.
Aaron, would you repeat the operation hours again that is set in place?
Yep, the hours of operation are recommended to be 6 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay,
That's their standard day right now.
okay.
Now, there may be instances where, you know, a truck has to leave a little earlier, a little bit later. It's few and far between, but this is their, you know, probably 90% operating hours.
Normal operation.
Yep.
Okay, I don't have, that's good. Okay, I don't know, some of you probably don't remember '04. I remember this back then. And they did a good job in cleaning the place up, so. No other questions? Move to approve as presented.
Wait, more questions? Are you stating that
We need
the
a second on,
No, he's got a question. Didn't he have a question?
question beforehand?
Somebody had a question.
oh, you want a question? Okay,
Before, yeah.
okay.
On the portion in the left-hand side, one part of that is existing. Is that coming down? Or is that staying there after the new one is?
This batch, the old batch plant right here will be coming down, is my understanding, correct?
The shell building will stay, the top roof will come down
Okay,
to the level of the new one, but the dark colored shell, that'll still stay there. The far north end of it is our batch room where the computer is to load the trucks, that'll stay in that part. We take the old plant out and there'll just be storage area, like a garage, but the shell itself
It's going to stay.
will stay there.
Okay.
Are those existing silos going to be removed that I'm seeing on the bottom, towards the bottom left there? Right.
The small one that's above the plant would potentially be moved or just discontinued.
Oh, Aaron, could you have him
Oh.
come up here?
Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah.
Skip, would you mind coming up here to speak into the microphone? Sorry.
Didn't think about it.
Yeah, Allison Williams is on the phone and, okay.
Okay, the question about the silos, we could put the smaller one on the ground, it wouldn't need to be, right now it's above our scale, which would be moved over, but we'd like to keep them as storage. Due to what cement shortages or fly ash shortages, it's always handy to be able to have a place to keep it on hand, so it'd allow us to have more storage on site. So that would be the plan that, yeah, they would all four would actually still be there,
Oh, they
well, the new one too.
So the light colored one is the new one then?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, Jay, you might, yeah, could point that. This is the new one.
Oh, that's the new one on the building then? Okay. Existing one, okay.
Do you see an increase in production?
No, it's-
Not by the hour, I mean daily, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, there's 9 concrete trucks there. A lot more?
We have more than 9 now. Our production, to be more efficient, be able to do the same amount per day, but be able to do it more efficiently, or everything's to be able to load more per hour, or to load those pours out faster. But I'm not going, that we're gonna increase our size as far as volume. But, I mean, I'm not, I guess, hoping not to have to turn down an order because our yardage fluctuates from year to year, the way it is, based on the economy, basically. I mean, when the recession hit, we were way down. Last year, we had a good year, so it isn't, it could be a roller coaster as far as your yardage per year.
This is, am I correct, Brian, in saying that this is to load trucks faster when there are pours being poured that are 80, 90, and 100 yards, and you need more than just 1 or 2 trucks?
Yes, that, and just being more efficient in general, that
Okay.
it just can load more efficient.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
Okay, I'm good.
okay, so did you want to make your motion, Gary?
I made a motion
You did.
as presented.
You did make a motion, and then
So you
I
just
did
need a
get a
second.
question.
I know, but we should have had a second on the motion before we discussed it. So do we have a second on the motion?
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the submitted site plan for Red D Concrete, the conditional use permit for 2885 Allied Streets, parcel VA-184-A. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
With the
So this item will be
Oh, I'm
then,
sorry, with conditions, correct, Gary?
Yes.
Yes, with condition.
and this item will be on the agenda then for Village Board and a public hearing on July 28th.
Okay. Okay, 7D, action regarding proposed 9-unit, single-family rental home planned unit development at 2400 block of South Ridge Road, parcel VA-127. Aaron?
All right, we have is a requested planned unit development for a proposed 9-unit individually owned, or individually rented, I'm sorry, rental units on a vacant parcel, the corner of Pilgrim and South Ridge Road. You can see the layout of the planned unit development at this point. There are 4 units along South Ridge. There are 5 along Pilgrim Way. This will be a private drive. The village is not responsible for garbage pickup, recycling pickup, snow plowing, maintenance. It's a, like I said, strictly a private drive. The homes themselves are 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes. Bring up the rendering here. With 2-stall attached garage. The rendering doesn't really do them justice. It's a little bland. But in terms of exterior materials, we have our, you can see here, board and batten siding on front, and then vinyl lap siding on the sides and rear elevation. Square footage is right around 1,400 square feet, so a pretty typical square footage for the neighborhood. In terms of stormwater management, we do have a stormwater pond back in this area. The village has a water main that runs right through here along that property line. And so there was a discussion a little bit about having a berm or something else to separate this property from the rest of the properties. We obviously don't want to put a berm on top of a water main in case we need to access it, adds additional cost to the village. So we didn't really want to do that.
Back when this came up a long time ago, there seemed to be, if it was apartments, it blended with this side. If it was housing, it blended with that side. And there was some of the people that lived along that side that didn't want apartments. Has this been conveyed to them that they?
We did hold a neighborhood meeting in, what was that, March, I think it was?
Early spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We invited the neighborhood to it. We had a few people show up. You know, Garrett, you could probably speak to that. You were there. It was, you know, I guess they weren't opposed to it. We had received a phone call today from a neighbor, just asking general questions about it. Kind of explain the project, proposal. She may come to village board to discuss at the public hearing. But at this point, pretty straightforward project. I explained at site plan review committee as, although these are rental units, it's not an 8-unit apartment complex. These are individually rented homes. There's basically single-family homes, just instead of they're owner-occupied, they are rental. So the developer will have maintenance responsibility for the units as well as the property.
Could you put up that picture, Aaron, please, showing the front of these buildings, if you could?
This one?
No,
Rendering?
there was a picture of just a single home. You could see the front of it.
Right here's the front.
Yeah, but there's one in color.
There's a big picture, Aaron.
Oh, yeah, okay, I don't have that one up.
Okay, well, that's all right. It just seems to me, and you hate to add cost, but boy, I tell you, aesthetically, 3 feet of brick under those front windows would sure as heck, in my judgment, do a lot of aesthetically good, eye-pleasing addition to that, but.
I understand where you're coming from on that.
I'm sorry?
I understand where you're coming from on that. The difference is that these are actually single-family homes. We don't have design review
Yeah,
on single-family homes.
That's what I was afraid of,
Yeah,
yeah.
if this is an 8-unit apartment complex, then we would. But in terms of exterior materials for single-family homes, we don't.
But it is a PUD,
It is, correct.
so that could be required under a PUD. I mean, I'm not suggesting that, we beat them over the head with that, but boy, I tell you, the one picture I'm looking at, which is a colored photo, and it shows the front of these individual homes, it shows one home in the front of it, and those 2 windows in the front to the right of the garage, boy, I tell you, that doesn't look good to me at all. But,
Landscape.
Ken, that came up in the site plan, and I agree with you. I didn't like it. We did talk with Mary, you understood him better than I did sitting up there, but we
Yeah.
did talk to him about that.
We had a discussion with the developer about that, and we don't have the actual renderings either for the landscaping that goes in front of it. We don't have, there's a plan in here that's got circles on it, but we don't have an actual rendering
Yeah,
of this.
as Mary alluded to, there's a landscaping plan that was submitted with this. And the landscaping will certainly improve the sightlines of the
Right.
front elevations of the homes.
Right,
Obviously, the developer is trying to control costs on this project to the village's benefit. Obviously, there's no village incentive involved here. It's strictly a developer-driven project. So I think it's a good project. The landscaping will certainly help soften the views. And the board and batten siding is something that I think does help mix up the elevations a little bit as well. So you see the vertical siding on the front here, as opposed to just your standard vinyl lap siding all the way around.
well, I can't support that the way it looks. I just can't. You look at those buildings, it just,
Ken, you're looking at this big blown up picture on
Yeah,
one page?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you, but it does look like a,
you're gonna see that's right along 41, it's, I don't know how much that sound wall would screen these. I have to
I
drive by there to
don't,
look.
yeah, I don't think you'll see them at
You
all.
see that from 41.
That sound wall is pretty high,
oh, you won't see that there.
right,
I don't think you will.
no.
Did you talk about cost at all, about adding brick
Yeah.
on that front?
We did. One of our site plan review committee members estimated it'd be about $4,000 a unit.
That much?
Yeah.
Just in the front along, under those 2 windows?
What you have to do is you have to add a brick ledge to the foundation
Okay.
for the brick to lay upon, which of course adds cost.
Yeah, okay.
So-
All right, thank you.
One question I forgot to ask, I jotted it down here after the meeting. Garbage pickup. What, are they gonna have, I didn't see anything on here for,
You said that was their own.
whatever means of garbage pickup.
So our garbage trucks will not drive down private drives.
We're giving them 0 service.
Right.
Well, if they want to bring their garbage to South Ridge Road, we'll pick it up because they're our single-family homes. But we'll not drive down the private drive. So I did convey that to the architect and the engineer. So they're working through alternatives right now to see how they want to handle that. Because, the home, the farthest north, that's a ways to haul your garbage and recyclables,
Yeah.
especially in winter.
Okay, so they're aware of,
Yes, sir.
I had a conversation with Aaron earlier today about that this is not gonna, it looks like it's a road, but it is not a road. It is a private driveway, so we won't end up
Been there.
getting, asked to plow it, and do leaf pickup and all that different stuff, so we had that conversation.
I'll be watching.
It's a driveway, it's not a road, so,
if you, a lot of you remember, this was brought in front of us at the public hearing. And when it was apartments, it was a rage that people did not want to see it, and that's why it was dropped. But the public hearing we had for this project, we had several people, and I personally talked to them to make sure they were all right, which they are all right with it. But it's funny, we didn't have more people. I was expecting more anyway, so. I think, Mary, you had a call.
That was the people across the back, wasn't it, Gary?
correct.
Right.
I walked, I talked with a couple of the neighbors in there. We did have some questions. Aaron and I have gone through them. People were wondering about parking on the roadway. Well, it's a driveway, so that's controlled by the people that own it. They thought maybe a berm would be appropriate instead of a fence, which we, can't require a fence either on that north side. I think it's an alternative to, there were a lot of people that were anti-apartment units there, that big two-story apartment units, so
I think it's a good development.
it gives
Is
them
that gonna be blacktop?
Yes,
so,
the driveway will be.
Yeah, no,
so,
he doesn't know what he's in for.
so. Anyway, does anybody want to make a motion?
Move to approve if nobody is.
With staff conditions,
With staff
Gary?
conditions, yes, that's not,
I'll second that also.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve as is with staff conditions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay,
So this item will be on the village board for a public hearing on July 28th.
okay, 7E, action on conditional use permit for a proposed Bergstrom Subaru dealership at 761 Pilgrim Way, parcel VA-143-1-A. Aaron?
The requested, straighten this out here. Requested conditional use permit is for a proposed Bergstrom Subaru dealership on the, let me just get there. Here we go. On the former Mack truck site, basically in the area between 172 Holmgren Way and Pilgrim Way. As you can see on the site, the old Pilgrim Way access road that runs right along Pilgrim Way right here is proposed to be incorporated into the project. There is a street vacation underway right now, anticipated to be finalized at the July 28th Village Board meeting. They are separately negotiating a purchase of some DOT right-of-way along there as well. So that's why the site plan actually incorporates that Pilgrim Way access road. The conditional use permit is required because this is a automobile sales dealership, an ancillary service provider. So under the B3 General Business Zoning District, CUP is required for auto sales, basically. Site plan did recommend approval with staff conditions. Discussion at site plan review centered around the access for car loaders, which will access this driveway to the south, traverse through the backside here, reach this area up in here, turn around, and come back out. So there's no on-street loading or unloading of vehicles. In terms of the exterior materials, just give you a flavor of what site plan did review. Exterior materials are primarily metal panels, precast concrete, tilt-up panels, aluminum storefront windows, and obviously the large storefront windows. Certainly be an improvement on the site. Both the old Mack Truck building and the saddle shop buildings will be raised. The existing parking lot will be tore up as well. To accommodate the building, there will be some floodplain that will be filled, since the back half of this property is within the 100-year floodplain. Developer is aware of that as well. In terms of recommended conditions of approval, conformance with the site plan, all conditions or recommendations of approval from the Site Plan Review Committee, and approval of the vacation of Pilgrim Way Access Road by the Ashwaubenon Village Board. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
I move to approve with the conditions. I think this is great. We're getting something on.
Yeah.
It's about time.
That property's been an eyesore for years.
It's a difficult site, so I think this works well. Do we have a second? Gary Paul, we have a motion and a second to approve with staff conditions. I said earlier at site plan that Aaron and I were at a ribbon cutting today for the Express Cars, which is a Bergstrom dealership on Ramada Way, and John and Tim Bergstrom are very excited about getting this project going. So like you said, Jim, this is a difficult site, and it's good to get it going.
They have cars at that new site that you went to?
Yes.
There are cars
Yep,
there?
there are cars there. So, okay, we have a motion and a second to recommend approval of the conditional use permit at 761 Pilgrim Way with staff conditions. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
So this will also be on the July 28th Village Board meeting for approval with a public hearing.
We have a lot of stuff that night, Aaron.
It'll be a busy night.
Yes. Okay. 7F, action regarding ordinance 07-1-20, amending section 17-4-100, table of allowable uses, removing transitional facility from I-2 heavy industry.
This is a follow-up to a recommendation Plan Commission made a couple of months ago regarding adding a shelter facility definition and zoning districts to the zoning code. At Village Board, there was discussion that the I-2 heavy industry was not an appropriate location for a shelter facility. The reason shelter facility was included in I-2 was because it would be consistent with transitional facility, which allows for transitional facilities in R3 multifamily, I-1 light industry, and I-2 heavy industry. The motion and action at Village Board was to allow for the shelter facilities in the R3 multifamily and the I-1 light industry, and not in the I-2. At that meeting, then I was directed to follow up to take transitional facility out of the I-2 heavy industry district, because quite honestly, it's not an appropriate use to have people living in a heavy industry zoning district. So this is just a cleanup from that. Any additional questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
So you need a recommendation to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to recommend approval of ordinance 07-1-20. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 8, items for next agenda. Well,
I would anticipate it.
Yeah.
We've been pretty busy lately.
yeah. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn, please.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are done.